Hi everyone. This is a video to walk you through our test review for Unit 2 Part 2 test. Make sure that with each of these problems that before I go over it, you try it yourself first to see if you know it or not. It's kind of like quizzing yourself before taking the test to see what concepts you understand and what concepts you don't. So pause the video and take a moment to try questions number 1 and 2. Go ahead and pause it. Okay guys, let's look at questions number 1 and 2. So in question number 1, remember you should always read what the question is asking for. In this particular question, it's asking for the x and the y-intercept. Okay, so first, the y-intercept, remember, needs to be on the y-axis. So it is where our line intersects the y-axis. So it could be written as just 8, but usually it's written as an ordered pair, 0, 8. Okay, yes, the 8 needs to go second because that's where the y would go, because this is the y-intercept. Okay, so the y-intercept is 0, 8. Now let's look at the x-intercept. And just remember also another word for x-intercept is 0. So if I ask you for the 0 of a graph, I'm asking for the x-intercept. Here we go. Here's our x-intercept where the line touches the x-axis. Okay. And the ordered pair for this would be -2, 0. The -2 does have to go first because x always goes first in an ordered pair. Not too much to that one. There's our x and y intercept. Number 2 asks for the slope. Slope, remember, when we're finding it from a graph, is rise over run. Now, these points might be tricky because we can see that one of them has a decimal in it. So maybe we should choose a different point, one that's a whole number, like maybe our y-intercept. Okay, and then we can also use one of the points that's already given to us, 5, 2. So I'm going down from left to right. I'm going down and over. Down means my slope is going to be negative because our line is decreasing from left to right. So how much is it decreasing? -1. That goes on top. That's the rise. And then how much is it going over to the right? It's going over 5 units. That's our run. Our slope is -1 over 5, -1/5. All right, guys, take a moment and pause the video and try questions 3 and 4. All right, guys, so now that we're back reviewing, the word 0, remember, means the same thing as x-intercept. So we need to find the 0, otherwise known as the x-intercept, where our graph touches the x-axis. And remember, let's try and write it as an ordered pair. Sometimes they might just write 6, okay? But we should also know how to write it as an ordered pair, 6, 0. Now this one might be a little bit trickier, okay? And I'm going to show a few different ways to do it. We are given an equation, and x represents the number of hours. So I'm going to write that on the x-axis, the hours that a candle has been burning. And how long did it take to reach 0 height? So it doesn't tell us that, but the height in inches is the y. So this is the height on the axis. Most of you probably already know that this is the b, the y-intercept, and we can plot it right here. That is the initial height. So 4 inches is how tall the candle was at the beginning. And you can see by looking at the slope, which is negative, that it's decreasing in height because the candle is melting. Now the question is, when will the candle burn out? The problem is that our slope, which is -0.4, is a decimal. What is our rise and what is our run? It's really hard to tell. So I'm going to show you how to use the Desmos calculator, which is in your test, embedded, that you can turn a decimal into a fraction. All right, everyone. So to turn a decimal into a fraction, if we want to find the slope, just type it in here. You don't have to graph it, -0.4. 4. And if you look over here to the left, this little fraction button appears. If you click on it, it will tell you what that slope is as a fraction. So let's go ahead and write that down. Our slope as a fraction, instead of negative 0.4, is negative 2 over 5, which means down 2 over to the right 5, because we always go right. So from my y-intercept, I'm going to be decreasing 2, and I'm going to the right 5. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time. Decreasing 2, right 5. So our candle, notice this is not going to have arrows, guys. It doesn't go on forever because this is a real world situation. We started at 0 inches on the candle. And how long did it take to reach 0 inches, right? Because once it hits the x-axis, it is 0 inches tall. It is completely melted. It has burned out the entire candle. So you can see it landed on 10. So our answer is 10 hours. That's how long it took for the candle to run out. Really good problem, guys, but the hardest part is that negative 0.4 and turning it into a fraction. Luckily, our calculators do that for us. Okay, go ahead and take a moment and try questions 5 and 6. Now, you had a question like this on one of your warm-up pages on the homework on the back, and a lot of us struggled with it because there's so many points that look like they are points but are not. But guess what? In this problem, the points are given to you. So I would go ahead and plot points where they are, 7, 2, and negative 7, negative 8. And do your rise over run from there, because this problem is asking us for the slope and the y-intercept. The y-intercept should be easy for us. Where does it touch the y-axis? Right here at negative 3. 0, negative 3. That's your y-intercept. Okay, now what about our slope, our rise over run? So we can see it's a positive slope because it's increasing from left to right. So I'm seeing how much is it increasing and how much is it running. So it is increasing 10, rising 10. Remember, rise over, and then how much is it running? 14. And we should either type it in our calculator to reduce the fraction or reduce it ourselves. And we can note that both of them are divisible by 2. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. 14 divided by 2 is 7, and that is our slope. Remembering that m represents slope. Alrighty. Hopefully that wasn't too bad, guys. The biggest part is to remember that if I give you 2 points, use those 2 points to find the slope. Because some of them really look like they are whole numbers, and they are not. For instance, it looks like our x-intercept is at 4, but it is not. It's just very close. Like you can actually look at it up close and see it doesn't actually go through 4 right here. Okay, sorry, wish it did, but it doesn't. So let's go ahead and take it back, and we're going to look at the question next to it, number 6, and graph it. So remember, we always start with the y-intercept, okay? And we're going to plot that on the y-axis. On the test, you are going to be asked to graph this digitally, but I always recommend graph it on paper first. I will give you graph paper. Graph it on paper first. Now let's look at our slope, which is right here, negative 1/2. And remember, when you look at negative 1/2, the top tells you whether it's going up or down. Because it's negative, we're going down 1 unit. And the 2 tells us go right. We always go right. Okay? So from my y-intercept, I'm going down 1 unit and right 2 units. And I can do it again, and I can do it again. I can do it over and over, and I can even keep going off the grid if I want to see where the x-intercept might be. It looks like it might be at about 12. And there's our graph. All this asked you to do was to graph it. You did not have to identify the slope, the x-intercept, the y-intercept. You did need those to help you, but ultimately the goal was to graph this. Okay? So take a moment on number 7 and 8, and please convert them both into y equals mx plus b form first. Take a moment, pause the video, try it on your own first, and then check your answer. Hi there, everyone. So in this one, we were converting from standard form, where the x and the y are on the same side, to slope-intercept form. Notice we always subtract the x. That's something that you may want to write down. The step was that we subtract the x to both sides, right? And you'll notice that these, the 9 and the minus 5x, you can't actually subtract them because one has an x and one doesn't. So we rewrote it as 9 minus 5x. Then I had them switch sides because we normally want the x first. But the biggest issue that a lot of people have is forgetting that the negative needs to come with the 5x. And that 9 is positive, so it should stay positive when they switch places. And then the last step is to divide by the number that's in front of the y. That's important. And then you need to simplify them. You can divide them in your calculator. That can be really helpful. For instance, 9 divided by -6, it did reduce to 3/2. Okay, so check your answer, make sure that that is correct. Now let's look at number 8. I have also simplified that one. If you haven't tried number 8 yet and solved to put it in y equals mx plus b, you may want to pause the video again and try it on your own. All right, here's what it looks like. Subtracting the 3x from both sides, swapping the 2 right here so that the -3x is first and the +18 is second, and then dividing everything by -2. And then now we are actually able to graph it. Our y-intercept is -9, and remember that's where we start. So let's plot a point at -9. Okay, and we're rising 3 from the slope, right? 3/2 is our slope. It's positive, so we're going up. And remember, we always go right. So rise 3, go up 3, right 2, up 3, right 2, up 3, right 2, etc. Now, when you graph it on the computer, it'll already have a line on there. You just have to adjust the line to make sure it looks like this. You can pick any 2 points on the line, okay, because it'll have 2 points that you'll move and adjust. I might choose the x-intercept at 6 and the y-intercept at -9. There's our line. Okay, graphing is not so bad, guys. Just make sure to graph it on paper first and then adjust the graph on the computer screen and make sure that they're the same. Make sure they have those exact same points. Make sure 4, -3 is on there and 2, -6 is on there. Make sure your intercepts are correct. Go and pause the video and try question 9 and 10. Hi there, everyone. So looking at this, we are given f of x was transformed to create g of x. Remember, f of x is the parent function, which looks like this. F of x equals x. And then we've got the new one that they just gave us highlighted here. I'm going to write that one in red. G of x equals 2f of x plus 5. Remember what these transformations represent. Okay, f of x plus 5. The plus 5 means that the graph has been shifted up 5 units. Okay, and the 2 means that the graph got steeper. If the a value, which is the value in front of f of x, if a is greater than 1, that means our graph is getting steeper than the original. Okay. Now all it's asking us in this problem is, what are the coordinates of the y-intercept? The coordinates of the y-intercept are 0, 5. Because the original function goes through the origin 0, 0. And our graph shifted up 5, so now it is at 0, 5 instead of 0, 0. If you haven't tried number 10, please try it now. On the last question, guys, we have f of x minus 5. The minus 5 means the graph is being shifted down 5 units, so the answer is C. Study hard for your test, guys, and remember that I have tutoring tomorrow morning, Friday morning, if you can come in. Have a great day, guys.